We move now to Psalm 121, a song for ascents. Ascents, going up, ascents. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. The Lord is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your life. The Lord will guard your going and coming now and forever. The psalmist begins by mentioning the idea of seeking help and looking up towards the mountains, perhaps expecting that the mountains or that nature in its grandeur will rise to his defense, that nature will come along and give him support. He talks about God as maker or creator of heaven and earth, namely creator of all nature, and that is the only source of his help, not nature itself. Later on he says, by day the sun will not strike you, nor will the moon by night. It is easy for us to imagine how the sun can strike us with its formidable heat and how damaging the sun can be. Not sure how the moon can harm us, but again, we know much more about nature and its effects than the psalmist did. Nevertheless, the message is clear. The psalmist looks to God for help, not to nature. And he believes that with God's support and help, he will be protected from the harmful potential forces of nature. And he also believes that it is idolatrous to look towards or for nature to come to his aid. It is only idol worshippers that believe that natural forces, whether it be the sun or the moon or the mountains or the trees or the waters or the rivers, can be an independent force that can rise to his defense and to his aid. The psalmist acknowledges that God is the maker of all of that, and therefore, when we are in time of trouble, we look to God to help us out. It's also important to mention here that the word guardian or guard in Hebrew, shamar, that's the verb form, shin mem resh, meaning to guard or to protect. And that word is included in this psalm in different forms 6 times, no less than 6 times. And in each case, it refers to God as our protection, as our guardian. I'm recording this video the day after Yom Kippur. And in our synagogue in Bridgeport, Connecticut, we held a live stream services with only a bare minimum of 12, 13, or 14 maximum people at any time in our large sanctuary that normally would seat 750 maximum. And we did that in order to provide an opportunity first to hold a minyan, a service that would be acceptable. We need a minimum of 10 people to do that. And so we were able to accomplish that, but at the same time to enable members of our congregation and our friends and family members to open up their computers and watch our services from live stream. But even with that bare minimum of people in our sanctuary, nevertheless, we hired police and an armed guard to stand outside our synagogue building. Sad that we have to do that in today's day and age, but with the threat of terrorism and anti-Semitism always lurking in the shadows, we have to be especially careful on the high holy days and other special occasions so that we can feel safe. Knowing that those police and security personnel were there allowed us to feel safe in our environment, in our milieu. They were our protectors. They were our guardians. And because they were there, we could feel secure running our services. And that, in a way, is a metaphor for how we feel during vulnerable times in our lives when we know that God is there to be our protector and our guardian, to shield us from harm. And that is what the psalmist means when he repeats 6 times in this one short psalm that God is protector. It is no accident that this Psalm 121 is, other than Psalm 23, one of the psalms that is most often recited and quoted during funeral services. There are times when the forces of nature, whether it's blind nature or disease or whatever it is that can take the lives of our loved ones. And knowing that, we quote this psalm as he mentions the fact that his belief in God will sustain him from the harm that nature can bring. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. We know full well during these funeral services that there are times when we feel that the Lord has not protected us from harm, and that our loved ones have been taken from us too soon and too early, meeting an untimely end. But even knowing that, we embrace our faith and hope in God, believing that God protects us, that God shields us from harm, perhaps not physical harm, but spiritual and emotional harm. It is not a blind faith that we embrace here. We do not endorse the idea that simply by praying to God or invoking our faith, that will immediately cause us to have a reprieve from illness such as cancer or COVID-19 or other types of things, or will automatically protect us from the harmful forces of nature. No, we don't believe that. But what we do believe is that God is our protector. God is our source of strength and our guardian. And especially during a time such as a funeral, it's important to remind mourners of that idea. It is an idea that gives so much strength to people in need, that allows people to find shelter in a belief in God's presence. And so, having brought this out for you today through this video clip, I'd like to conclude by singing for you with guitar a very well-known popular melody for the beginning of this psalm, Esa Enai, I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? Esa Enai. Esa Enai el harim meyayin yavo ezri. Esa Enai el harim meyayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim Ba'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim Ba'aretz. Esa Enai el harim me'yayin yavo ezri. Esa Enai el harim me'yayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim Ba'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai hazeh shamayim va'aretz. I lift my eyes to the mountains. From whence does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. Thank you.